Hi everyone, this is Shantae, aka Shantizi on Twitter and Instagram, or just simply just Shantae. So I'm here with my nightly show called Shantae's Analysis. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want more and short snippet videos, or you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram. And it's just I am Shantae. So I have numbers for the coronavirus per the Johns Hopkins University and Medicine website. So here we are. The global confirmed cases here in around the world. Hi, Elizabeth. Around the world so far is 51,377,200. Wow. The death toll, global death toll is 1,270,171. Here at home in the US, we are the number one, still leading number one cases in the world. We have 10,242,754. The global death toll is almost nearing 240, and it will be 240 tomorrow. 239,618 cases. Deaths. So I'm going to read that again. U.S. confirmed cases is 10,242,754. The U.S. death toll, 239,618. And if you look at some global numbers here, just pull that up real quick, because we're not the only country that has millions, but we have the most. You have India at 8.5. You have Brazil at 5.6, almost at 5.7. You have France at 1,857,309. Russia at 1,802,762. You have Spain at 1,381,218. I believe they did another lockdown. Them and I believe Britain is doing another lockdown. You have Argentina at 1.2, 1,262,476. You have the United Kingdom at 1,237,198. You have Colombia at 1,155,356. And Italy at nearing at 1 million at 995,463. And Mexico is at 967,825. And Peru is at 923,527. So there is a lot of countries that are reaching 1 million. Some of them already experiencing their third wave. And whatever happens in Europe 2 weeks later, we get it. So we're feeling it now. And of course, the hospitalizations where I'm at has ticked up. It's now 1,500 people have been hospitalized due to wave 3. Now I would like to draw your attention to the New York Times COVID map. You can subscribe. It's free for COVID only, not the other stuff. You have to pay for it. And as of per the Johns Hopkins website, we have over 121,000 new cases today of COVID-19 here at home in the USA. Texas is just still the first state to break 1 million cases of COVID-19, has 1,037,792. So they're seeing like how many cases per day they saw today. I'm not quite as sure how many cases they saw today, but it's a lot of cases that they saw today. And trust me, this is only just the beginning. California is the next to reach that 1 million mark at 993,703. Florida has 852,166. New York has 540,897. Illinois is trailing New York, and they might surpass us with 512,629. Georgia is about to reach 400 at 396,498. North Carolina, 298,089. Wisconsin is almost at 300,000. Right behind North Carolina at 293,862. Tennessee, 284,725. Arizona, 263,445. New Jersey is at 262,230. And Ohio is at 261,482. I assume that Ohio is going to surpass New Jersey, and possibly that Illinois is going to surpass New York because they're in the red. And Michigan is also seeing a high number of cases at 244,982. So this is where mostly every country has every state has over 100,000, except for a few states, which is nearing 100,000 cases of COVID-19. And I say time and time again, we have no national plan. We're not going to have none within the next 70 days, with the current occupant of the White House not conceding that he lost the race, but he's still trying to have a legal fight. And today in the Supreme Court, he's trying to gut the ACA, but there are two Republican appointee judges that are trying to. Yes, I heard that he is on the legal team for Pennsylvania. I'm not surprised. He has all the time in the world for that, but he doesn't have all the time in the world to arrest the cops that killed Breonna Taylor. His day is coming. Don't worry, Queen Line. When his day comes, he's not going to see the light of day. Trust me. I'm a firm believer. I believe faith, and I read my Bible. So trust. But yeah, the ACA is about to be gutted. On the verge of being gutted. If you get the two Republicans to side with the three liberals in the court, that might happen. We know Chief Justice Roberts will keep the integrity of the court, and it's a possibility that Brett Kavanaugh might even side with them, which I'll be shocked. I would have think it would be Neil Gorsuch, but it might be Brett Kavanaugh. Amy Coney Barrett show us who she was from the hearings, which I'm not surprised. And I'm not surprised that Sam Antaleo nor tap dancer Clarence Thomas, who has desecrated the seat of Thurgood Marshall. So that's where we're at in terms of this. And as I said, there's no relief. There's no potentials of having relief. You don't want to have discussions with Nancy Pelosi, who is still the majority leader. There's 216 seats that the Democrats have. They only need 2 more to keep the majority, which they're on that trajectory to keep the majority of Democratic control, because it might happen. Nancy Pelosi proves herself to be an effective leader, and that has showed within the last 2 years. I mean, Nancy Pelosi is one of the most powerful women and always been effective. Tried to work with both sides of the party, while the Republicans refuse to be treasonous and obstructionists and halfway white supremacists. And I meant what I said. But I won't be surprised if there will be no relief. And there's going to be more people losing their homes because of Donald Trump's pettiness of not accepting the results of the election. It is what it is. Joe Biden won fair and square, like how he won fair and square, even though he did have some help from the Russians. He won Pennsylvania. He won Michigan. He won Wisconsin back in 2016. Now Joe Biden done flipped the states that you won and flipping Arizona and on the verge of flipping Georgia. Well, he's on the verge of flipping both Arizona and Georgia. And flipped a district in Nebraska. Yeah. So that's what's happening. But let's talk about Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. So Mr. Pompeo has lost his every fucking mind when he said this clip, and I'm going to just play it for you because I'm pretty sure y'all saw it today on your many social media platforms, whether it is Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, or Snapchat. So here we are.
There will be a smooth transition to a second Trump administration. Right? We're ready. The world is watching what's taking place here. We're going to count all the votes. When the process is complete, there'll be electors selected. There's a process. The Constitution lays it out pretty clearly. The world should have every confidence that the transition necessary to make sure that the State Department is functional today, successful today, and successful with the president who's in office on January 20th, a minute afternoon, will also be successful. I went through a transition on the front, and I've been on the other side of this. I'm very confident that we will do all the things that are necessary to make sure that the government, the United States government, will continue to perform its national security function as we go forward.
Do you believe there's widespread voter fraud? The reports that we're getting from Pennsylvania, from Michigan, showing vote totals of massive leads or significant leads, with 99% reporting, are going to be overturned, and if the United States failed to conduct a fraudulent free election?
Rich, I'm the Secretary of State. I'm getting calls from all across the world. These people are watching our election. They understand that we have a legal process. They understand that this takes time, right? It took us 37 plus days in an election back in 2000, conducted a successful transition then. I'm very confident that we will count, and we must count every legal vote. We must make sure that any vote that wasn't lawful ought not be counted. That dilutes your vote if it's done improperly. Got to get that right. When we get it right, we'll get it right. We're in good shape.
So let me just frankly be clear. And I'm going to be transparent as possible. And I'm pretty sure all of us are smart here that are watching that will probably watch the replay. There is no voter fraud. There is none. It's been debunked so many times by legal experts on television, those who are chief legal analysts. There is no voter fraud. And yes, he is crazy. Absolutely crazy. And I'm glad to share this. There is no voter fraud. Donald Trump lost the election. He lost. Joe Biden has over 76 million votes, 76.2 and counting. He has currently 290 electoral votes from the AP, but on television they show 279 because they don't want to call it from the election desk yet. But Joe Biden is a declared winner. And he has another state he has to gain votes from. And he did one fair and square. He didn't cheat. He didn't do anything. He didn't pander. He campaigned the most effective and innovative way. When there was a pandemic, he centered the campaign around the pandemic. He centered plans. He talked to people. He went to the protests. He didn't bastardize the protesters, unlike this guy did. Literally. Joe Biden heard people out that did not even like him. And I'm not talking about Republicans that didn't like him. I'm talking about some Democrats that didn't like him. He campaigned safely where he did live streams. He did virtual events. And then when it was a little bit safe to go outside, when the pandemic calmed down a little bit, he did drive-in rallies. Donald Trump did not do that. Instead, he continued to have super spreader events, a super spreader event at the White House, which he and his wife had coronavirus, and you thought he learned? No. Donald Trump has done this to himself. His leadership, besides his leadership, what really messed him up was the COVID response. His response to COVID was atrocious. It was the most atrocious from world leaders. It was even more atrocious than Boris Johnson and the president of Brazil. At least the president of Brazil, halfway, and Boris Johnson, at least they both learned from having COVID. This man did not learn from having COVID. And the virtual stuff did help, because I used to watch the virtual events. I used to watch all his virtual events. Joe Biden's virtual events, and they were actually very effective. He actually talked to different people of different walks of life, different groups, even though he had some gaps here and there, but it was effective campaigning. He had a great campaign. He had a collaboration of just not his own people, Kamala Harris's people before Kamala Harris became the vice presidential nominee. His running mate, he had people from the Bernie camp. He had people from the Elizabeth Warren camp, the Pete Buttigieg camp, from different, I think, Andrew Yang's people. He had a lot of people within his campaign, even some from the Julian Castro stuff and Cory Booker, and that worked for Cory Booker. They all came and worked together because Democrats had to unite because Donald Trump was a threat to American society. And 76 million voters, including mostly black women and some black men, well, 80% of black men, but mostly black women, saved the day. Latina women saved the day too. Don't get me wrong. Latina, 70% of them. It was the way he blocked the Chinese flights was racist, but he did not block European travel, which in New York, the coronavirus strain came from Europe. I think Nancy Pelosi said if he wanted to block travel, he should have blocked travel from both China and Europe. And he took very long to block travel from Europe because they were a white country. Let's just be honest. Because that's how most of the coronavirus has spread, because New York is the first city, U.S. city, global city, travel hub when you come to the eastern part of the United States. And it's the truth. So Donald Trump did not block travel from Europe. He took long. He slow moved on that. This whole thing, it did originate from China, but it was already spread before it came here. We were the last country to have the coronavirus, but also the number one country to have the most cases and the most deaths. But back to Mike Pompeo, talking about there will be a smooth transition to a second Trump term. No. Donald Trump will be out. Donald Trump has 70, it'll be 70 days. Donald Trump will be gone. They need to sign off this transition thing so Joe Biden can do what he do. But then again, Joe Biden is the most experienced person, more than that whole Trump administration, for this particular job. Joe Biden was the vice president for 8 years under the first African-American president. He clearly know what the hell he's doing and clearly know what the hell he's talking about. And when he was the vice president, President Obama appointed him and Joe Biden's chief of staff, which I'm pretty sure he will be in his administration, as the person to maintain and to get a control on two pandemics that could have went out of control. And that includes, well, most of Biden's policies are different collaborations of both Bernie's, Elizabeth Warren's, and Kamala Harris's. Joe Biden's policies, some of his stances are actually a little bit more progressive. Climate change that's his signature. Climate change and the guns, that's his signature. If you really want a civics lesson, I'd be more than happy to do it on the side, but I don't have time within this podcast because I got to get to other topics. But I was trying to finish my point about Mike Pompeo, how he's fucking up his own self, saying this shit, and including other Republicans that refuse to accept the outcome of this election. So I just want to make this clear. Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. and Kamala Debbie Harris won this election fair and square. And that is it. So the Republicans can get over it and stop embarrassing themselves, because like Joe Biden said, they're embarrassing themselves and they know deep down inside that Joe Biden won this. They're telling Chris Coons to say congratulations to Joe Biden. No, you do that your fucking self. It's just that's the plain and simple. But as I said in my video, fuck Mike Pompeo. He ain't shit and he will never be shit. Just because he did that, he just ruined his own shit as even worse. Okay, Elizabeth. But on to another topic. I want to get to some of these progressives. Not all the progressives, but some progressives that really rub me the wrong way. And it's so sad because I love the term progressivism. So I'll just read the definition to you, because I like to refer to different sources before I start talking out of my ass, because I like to know what the hell I'm talking about. I want the government definition, goddammit. Progressivism is a political philosophy in support of social reform. That's what it means. But I want to give the actual definition. There we go. From the Webster Dictionary, this is what it means. It's an adjective, to be a progressive. Of relating to or characterized by progress. B, making use of interest in new ideas, finding and opportunities. C, of relating to or constituting an educational theory marked by emphasis on the individual child, informity of classrooms, procedures, and acknowledgement of self-expression. Thank you. 3, moving forward and onward. 4, A, increasing intent of severity. So, another to be progressive. 1, believing in moderate political change and especially social improvement by government action. So, when I think of that, I think of the Democrat Party of today. Do I think of that of these progressives these days that proclaim the term progressive? No. And the reason is because I never saw them, I never saw them doing anything to promote social change. Yes, they marched in the Black Lives Matter movement, but did they write a petition? Did they talk to their local leaders? Did they talk to anybody in the Congressional Black Caucus? No. Did they present their plans to different administrations? No. There's only one progressive that did that from the Black Lives Matter movement. Do I agree with her politically on certain things? No. But did she have policy positions and a plan to present to different campaigns during the campaigning season? Absolutely. I consider her as a progressive. Do I consider people like Crystal Ball, Cenk Uygur, Anna Kasparin, Ryan Knight, Brianna Joy Gray? No. And the reason I don't consider them progressives because I don't see them putting out anything that would let's see, that promotes social change. I really don't. And I'm not criticizing anybody, I'm just being real. I'm going to read one of the comments. I'm watching white liberals on the news blaming the calls to defund the police as the reason for the losses in the House. And I'm enraged at the attempt to discipline Black and progressive folks. Okay. See, I consider myself as a Black pragmatic progressive, more so liberal, because most of my stances are pretty liberal. The problem I have with them using the term progressive is they don't use it in the right way. They continue to profit on the term progressive. Some of them have books. Some of them have podcasts. And I don't mind you having your own podcast. But don't claim that you're progressive and you're not doing anything to progress anything. Because the Green New Deal and Medicare for All does not mean that it's progressive. Absolutely. And different marginalized group came out to vote for Joe Biden because it's a step for actual progressive change. And according to the Biden and Harris plans, I saved them to my OneDrive. Those are really bold changes. Should go on the website if it's still up to read it. It makes a whole bunch of sense. Like Joe Biden today already has his COVID-19 council advisory team for the transition. But what I'm saying is loud and wrong. They have been loud and wrong for quite some time. So Crystal Ball has this. She came up with this video blaming the media for Trump's pretty much treason, being a treasonist, if that's a word, for committing treason and just being racist. So here we are. Where's that video?
Favorite, though, is that all of their elaborate fascist coup plots have actually collapsed down to this. Some GSA Trump appointees refusing to sign a letter acknowledging Biden's election. Inconceivable. What if they have to wait a week or two before they can decide in earnest whether they're giving Pete Buttigieg VA or UN ambassador? The country hangs in the balance. The people who have stoked the most outrageous fears about Donald Trump have been completely wrong. His words are outrageous, of course, and certainly his administration has engaged in some truly damaging acts with consequences to people and the planet, which will reverberate for years to come. The cruelty at the border, orphaning children, opening the Alaskan wilderness to logging, accelerating the transfer of wealth to the top, and of course, outright lying about coronavirus to save the stock market. But those in the media who have terrified millions with their Donald Trump ghost stories and murder mysteries, they destroyed the ability to tell the real story of the worst parts of the Trump administration. Not to mention that their unhinged conspiracy theories certainly turned off some of the voters that they might have won over with a different approach. Allow me to save you the suspense of what's going to happen next. Trump is going to tweet some more and do some more pretend legal actions that are laughably incompetent at best and possibly completely non-existent. He'll never fully admit defeat, which will, of course, enrage all the powers that be to no end. And, of course, he should concede. It would be good for the country if he did, but it's also not quite the same as the military-backed coup or outright authoritarian end of democracy that we've been repeatedly promised. Instead, when the time comes, he won't admit defeat, but he will leave. And it's very likely he'll go start his new media company where he'll continue to chirp from the sidelines to millions of his supporters who, by the way, will never believe that Joe Biden actually won fair and square. Of course, the media will do their best. Trump is not going to do some military coup, and none of these people are ever going to admit that they were wrong.
Okay, I had enough of the loud and wrong people. She's wrong. Like, completely wrong. Donald Trump is unhinged. He didn't concede. And yes, it's not the thing to concede. It was Crystal Ball basically blaming the media for pretty much scaring people of Trump being unhinged. Trump is loud and wrong. Trump was wrong. Basically, he's wrong, and he's wrong right now. Any normal person that lost an election will concede. It will help the country to move on better. Even though I don't expect much from him, but that's something that could be presidential about him. Something. But he refused to. And she's excusing his behavior, and you're blaming the media for scaring people. The media was not scaring people. I mean, that person should orient and backed off. Yeah, backing off. Yeah. Like, I don't understand, like, why are you excusing that behavior, but you got all the smoke for Democrats? Because she has nothing but smoke for Democrats. And the truth is why she got that smoke, because she wanted to work for the Biden campaign, and they refused to hire her. Instead, they hired Simone Sanders from the Bernie Sanders campaign back in 2016. And honestly, back in 2016, she was a better press secretary for the Sanders campaign than Brianna Gray. Brianna Gray was the worst hire from any campaign. She's horrible. What? Lie on TV and everything? But Donald Trump does not, you're right, Elizabeth, Donald Trump does not give zero fucks about this country. He doesn't care. And the Republicans seem to not care. They don't have a spine. They can't stand up to this man. This man has basically, he ruined the Republican Party for years to come. Trumpism is, unfortunately, is here to stay. I mean, he's having a fucking march for election integrity on Saturday in Washington, D.C. Donald Trump has polarized this country. He may not found racism, but damn it, he played on that shit. No, I'm not giving out my WhatsApp numbers. I'm not giving out none of that shit. You can comment on a message on this platform. Thank you, Queen Lion. Thank you. But it's just loud and wrong. It's just so wrong. Like I'm just so tired. And then I'm just gonna read Shank's tweets because it's killing me. Yeah, Paul, you're right. He is creating and adding security issues to this. It's just unnecessary. It doesn't have to be, but that's just who he is, unfortunately. But I would like to read these tweets from Shank because Shank is another one that's loud and wrong. Kara Eastman was a wonderful progressive candidate in the middle of Nebraska and lost by 4 points. Max Rose was a conservative Democrat. The last time I checked, the only conservative Democrat is Joe Manchin. In the middle of New York, Staten Island to be exact, and already an incumbent. So he did much better, right? He lost by 16 points. Media blaming progressives anyway. The media is not blaming progressives. It was a phone call that one of the moderate Democrats, a phone call with constituents that she had regarding losing her election, almost losing her election in a pretty much red district in Virginia that she flipped in 2018 without your help. I mean, whoever gets help from Shank, good motherfucking luck. Another one. Has one person on cable news suggested that maybe Senator Chuck Schumer and Speaker Pelosi might be responsible for Democrat losses in Congress? Isn't it amazing how instead of talking about the people in charge, corporate media instead instantly shift blame to progressives again? For the last time. Nobody's blaming progressives. Nobody. The media did not blame progressives. If anything, they're charging Democrat leadership, saying you had a bad night. They're not blaming progressives. Ugh, loud and wrong. Another, the brilliant Nina Turner points out it was working class voters, especially in the cities, and younger voters who delivered the victory for Joe Biden. If the Biden team now disregards them, the biggest problem will be winning the next election. Okay. Nina Turner, loud and wrong, like Shane, loud and wrong. Loud and wrong progressives. Who delivered? Yes, Elizabeth, he's gross. Who delivered this election? I'm going to tell you who delivered this election. Black women. 91% of us voted for Joe Biden. Next, Latinas at 70%. The indigenous community voted for Joe Biden. I don't know what the exact number, but it's around the same number as black women. White women only voted for Joe Biden at 43%. While they increasingly voted for Donald Trump enthusiastically by 55%. So yes, Elizabeth, it was black women who saved the day, not younger people. And if you're talking about working class, make sure you put black working class. See, this is another problem I have with white progressives. Loud and wrong white progressives. My issue with them is they don't acknowledge black women. And I'm so sick of that fucking shit with them. I'm so fucking sick. I'm so tired. Who made these progressives the spokespeople for the working class and for the middle class? Because obviously people have rejected them, their progressivism, because it's not real progressivism. It's basically a cult. It's no inclusion at all. It's no intersectionality. And that's why black people down south rejected their asses, because both Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders could not communicate with the black people down south. Elizabeth Warren could not communicate big structural change. Bernie Sanders lumps his policies to tackle racism with economic policies. And that's not enough. That don't speak to black voters. Especially in South Carolina, because I have family in South Carolina. My mother is from South Carolina. And she tells you that right away. She's like, those people down there, they don't want to hear that bullshit. They want to hear what you're going to do for them now and how's it going to be done in Congress. Because they know how white people operate, especially white men like Mitch McConnell. Well, I'm not going to say his name. Addison Mitchell McConnell Jr. And Lindsey Olin Graham. And I did not forget about 2016. I'm still salty that my senator did not win that election. But I'm not going to be mad anymore because now my girl is vice president and the former vice president is now going to be the president. And the last time a vice president was elected as a president was George H.W. Bush. And that same George H.W. Bush lost his re-election like Donald Trump has lost his re-election. How ironic is that? So I'm very excited about this administration, and Joe Biden's already getting to work without signing and without, signing any papers while asking for papers to be signed. He's just doing a damn thing by himself with him and Kamala Harris. Yeah, she's our girl. I wanted Kamala Harris to be my president and a vice president, Pete Buttigieg, but either way, I'm excited. Yep, I agree, Paul. Donald Trump basically just he's his own worst enemy. He always been his own worst enemy since he was a businessman in New York. He's been his own worst enemy. He kicked his own self in the ass. He got to end up settling with people in court because he just be fucking up all the time. All the time. And the Biden and Harris transition team is doing the work. So when they get in there, they know they got to face, they have 5 crises to combat. They got the COVID pandemic. They have the economic recession resulting from the COVID pandemic, racial reckoning, climate change, trying to get kids united with their parents, protecting the ACA. Also, I'm leaving out something else. Reviving some of the things that Trump rescinded. It's just so much. You're right, Queen Lion. We have to continuously be engaged. Like, that's one thing about me. I was always engaged as a kid because I was born in the 80s. So I knew all the political stuff I was born in the Reagan administration during the time Reagan was in office. Obviously, that's why some shit is fucked up today. And I remember the presidency of Bill Clinton, a young 40-something-year-old man winning his election, balancing the budget. People were able to save their fucking money. People was able to get homes. There was no redlining. Even though my city was run by a Republican, Rudy Giuliani, who was the worst mayor. And then you have Michael Bloomberg. He was not even that great either. But thank God for a Democratic president like Bill Clinton. He was not perfect. He had his own issues. But when it came to governing this country, he knew exactly what he was doing. George Bush was not the best at his job, but God damn it, he was a decent man. He was more decent, way more decent than his vice president has ever been. Oh, trust me, they will get down on the GOP. Right now, they're trying to tackle the coronavirus, because that is the part that it's really crazy. And of course, the Obama administration. I just can't leave out the Obama administration for taking on the economy, because they inherited a $1.3 trillion deficit back in 2009. Because I remember coming out of college, and left the country with a surplus. Sure did. And what did Donald Trump and his administration do? Burn that shit to the ground. We just don't have a national economic issue. We have a global pandemic and a global economic recession. Every country is suffering. Every country. And we wouldn't have to suffer like this if we would have great leadership. Yeah, we no longer will be the laughing stock of this country. World leaders even congratulated Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Donald Trump should just concede. Everybody was like, oh, Hillary need to concede and everything. And Hillary conceded. Hillary was basically cheated from her election. But did she get lawyers? No. She was sad, but she conceded, yes, and gave a unifying message. Did she speak out against him so often? Not necessarily. I mean, if Donald Trump did not call her crooked Hillary, she would have gave him some advice on what to do, and advice to his his State Department. But obviously, he continuously disrespected her during his tenure in the White House, and of course disrespected the first African American president, which was his predecessor, who basically invited him to the White House and helped them transition, including Joe Biden when he was the vice president. But yeah, sore losers are the worst, absolutely. And the world leaders, they congratulate Joe Biden. They want to work with Joseph Robinette Biden because of his stature in this country. He is one of the last few standing that will work both sides of the aisle. Joe Biden is very respected in the Senate, whether you like it or not. These Republicans are fronting. They act as stupid because the same fucking Lindsey Graham is going to be up Joe Biden's face and be like, Joe, no, Joe, don't be his friend no more, because after he helped disrespect your son, your living son, Hunter, what they did to Hunter was fucked up. And Hunter is not even into politics. Hunter probably hates politics because he never held a political position, ever. Him nor Ashley. The one that held a political position is dead. And that was Bo. And even Donald Trump disrespected him like, I don't know Bo. Everybody knew who Bo was. If you're in politics, you knew who Bo Biden was. You knew who he was. But these Republicans are going to eat their own shit when it comes January 20th, 2021. They are not Joe Biden's friends. They disrespected him for a New York con artist. They really did. And I will always remember that. And it's the same for the people the black women that are now, some of them, not all of them, some of them that were Warrenistas and even some Bernie Sanders supporters that criticized Kamala Harris up until she was elected as vice president. I still got your number. I still know exactly who you are. Brittany Cooper. I know exactly who you are. Nina Turner. Even though Nina Turner don't fake the funk, but Brittany Cooper especially, I got your number. I know exactly who you are. And I'm going to just leave it as that. But as I say about these progressives, loud and wrong. White progressives, loud and wrong. Just loud. And I wish the story of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez would not pop up on my timeline no more, because I'm sick and I'm tired. It's starting to really get on my nerves. Oh, Jill won't put up with that. Dr. Biden will not put up with that shit, and she will not want to be called First Lady Biden. Her name is Dr. Biden, and she will still be working as a professor. Go get it, girl. And she don't need no advice from Melania Trump to be a first lady. She was the second lady for 8 years. If anything, she could call Michelle Obama. Oh yeah, if Joe Biden would have went after Donald Trump's children, he would never heard the end. He would never hear the end of it. The media would have bastardized him more than they did to Trump. Oh, he will show our new VP the ropes. She don't need no transition from Mike Pence. Mike Pence disrespected her. Who lost jobs for the people in New York? Was it Melania? Not quite as sure. But I think I've been here for quite a while. I'm tired. I know I've been a little long, but I am sick of the loud and wrong progressives. I am. I'm totally in. Oh, and there's another thing I do want to say. So I watched Eva Longoria tonight on the readout. She did apologize. However, that being said, she apologized. I just want to let people know it is, once again, it's black women who are the foot soldiers of the Democratic Party, who give Democrat presidential candidates, and including the candidates for Congress and even candidates for the victory, landslide victories. So that's what I want to say. But I accept her apology. Oh, school's going good. I have to complete my last stage of my project. It's due Wednesday. And I got homework to do that's due on Thursday. I'm going to do it tomorrow. Should not be that much. But I am going to get some sleep because I am tired. But you all, you have a good night. And I see you tomorrow. Mañana. Peace out.